Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammang sanghang saranang gacchami. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Okay, dear friends, today I'm in California visiting the Dhamma Dharini. Tomorrow morning I shall return to my home at the Empty Cloud Monastery in New Jersey, where over the past weeks I've been getting used to it over there, and I've been invited to stay on there long term as the senior Bhikkhuni, so I've accepted that invitation and be occasionally teaching here with the Dhamma Dharini's Zoom programs, as well as other programs that I'm teaching from over there. For anybody who is not already on my mailing list, I'm going to put my email in the chat, and if you would like to be on the mailing list to learn about teachings given by me, you can send me a note and I will take care of that for you. We just finished with the full moon celebration, which in particular there's an anniversary related to the Bhikkhu Ananda, the Buddha's secretary, who is well known, among other things, for his role as an advocate for the full ordination of the Bhikkhunis, and for his friendliness in offering teachings to the Bhikkhunis. It so happens that Ananda was not just known for teaching Bhikkhunis. He was a very, very active monk in the service of teaching. And his fame was that he had a special skill in helping the disciples, or the new bhikkhus, the new bhikkhunis, or lay people, to get up as far as stream entry. So he helped many, many, many hundreds, thousands of people to get their stream entry. He would teach one group, and then when they attained, he would let them go, and Bhikkhu Sariputta and Moggallana and some other bhikkhus were well known for teaching in a way that could get them all the way to being a fully enlightened arhat. So Ananda was a specialist in stream entry. If you would like to have stream entry, I recommend that you could look up in the suttas, those suttas that were taught by Ananda. And this is what we're going to do today. We're going to be looking at one of the suttas that was taught by him. So in the calendar, we just finished the month of Savana, which is the first month of the rains retreat. In the traditional Buddhist calendar, there's some slight variations in different countries. In the traditional calendar, today is the beginning of the second month, the month of Pottapada. And this was the day in the traditional calendar at which the monks started the recitation of the Vinaya and the Dhamma, as I'm going to be reading to you. So we're on this important anniversary. Now I'm going to share the screen. Okay. This is from the Vinaya, a section in the Khandhakas that's giving the history that I just told you. I'm just going to give you a little short bit about this. It gives you a kind of a flavor, and it also will correct a couple of myths that we have about Venerable Ananda. This senior monk, Mahakassapa, who was a very knowledgeable, powerful elder, he addressed the monks. On one occasion, I was traveling from Pava to Kusinara with a large sangha of 500 monks. I left the road and sat down at the foot of a tree. So Kusinara is where the Buddha had his final parinirvana, his final extinguishment. So Mahakassapa is telling that he was on his way to that place. Just then, a follower of the Ajivakas was traveling toward Pava from Kusinara, holding a coral tree flower that he had picked up in Kusinara. When I saw him coming, I asked him, "Do you know anything about our teacher?" "I do. It's 7 days since the ascetic Gautama attained final extinguishment. That's why I carry this coral tree flower." So it's a week after the Buddha's parinibbana, and Mahakassapa is just finding out about it, together with the monks that he was traveling along with. Some of the monks who were not yet free from desire threw their arms and cried, collapsed on the ground, rolled back and forth, lamenting. The Buddha, the happy one, has attained final extinguishment too soon. Too soon has the eye of the world been put out. But the monks who were free from desire bore it with mindfulness and full awareness, saying all phenomena are impermanent. How could it be any different? I said, "Please stop grieving, stop lamenting. Didn't the Buddha warn us that we must be separated from everyone and everything dear and agreeable to us? How could that which is born become made up and of a nature to fall apart, not fall apart? That's impossible." I personally believe that the world was actually so distressed and worried and traumatized after the death of Gautama or Sammasambuddha that, like Buddhist culture and monastic culture and the effort we make to record the Dhamma is really responding to that, trying to assure the health and survival of the Dhamma after the Buddha's final parinibbana. But everybody didn't feel that way. Kassapa goes on that occasion, a monk called Subhadda, who had gone forth when old, was part of that group. He said to the monks, "Please stop grieving, stop lamenting. It's good that we are free from that great ascetic. We were oppressed, always being told what's allowable and what's not. Now we can do what we like and not do what we don't like." So human. So then, now Kassapa is back to speaking. He's now in the present moment addressing his companions. He said, "So then, let's recite the teaching in the monastic law before what's contrary to the teaching shines forth, and the teaching is obstructed. Before what's contrary to the monastic law shines forth, and the monastic law is obstructed. Before those who speak contrary to the teachings become strong, and those who speak in accord with the teachings become weak. Before those who speak contrary to the monastic law become strong, and those who speak in accordance with it become weak." See, this is the same thing we worry about today. Is the Dhamma being spoken accurately? Is the Vinaya being remembered accurately? Those who are conscientious make the effort to do everything that they can, sincerely and respectfully, to try to understand and to realize what the Dhamma that the Buddha taught, and for those who are monastic especially, to try to understand and embody the moral code that the Buddha taught in the Vinaya. So the others said, "Well then, Venerable, please select the monks." Mahakassapa then selected 499 perfected ones that would be fully enlightened Arahant monks. The monks said to him, "There is Venerable Ananda who, although still a trainee, that is not yet a fully enlightened Arahant, is incapable of acting out of desire, ill will, confusion, or fear." And so that means that he has the lower stage of enlightenment as a non-returner. So desire, ill will, confusion, and fear have been eradicated in him, but he's not yet a fully enlightened monk. The monks said, "Ananda has learned many teachings and much monastic law from the Buddha. Please invite him as well." And he did. Mahakassapa did invite Ananda. The senior monks thought, where should we recite the teaching in the monastic law? It occurred to them, Rajagaha has much alms food and many dwellings. Let's spend the rainy season there in order to recite the teachings in the monastic law. No other monks should enter the rainy season residence at Rajagaha. So the monks have a certain territory, and when they do an official action, all of the monks who are present within that territory have to be participating and have to consent to that action. So like when we do an ordination or something, we're careful that if there's any bhikkhu or bhikkhuni who's against that ordination, who disagrees with it, we don't invite them, and we make sure that they're not there within the territory. Or if they are within the territory, they have the ability to block whatever the decision is. But so they wanted to make this recitation with the 499 Arahant monks plus Venerable Ananda, and they arranged so that the other monks would find a different dwelling for the Vasa. So then he informed the Sangha. This is the formal way they make motions. This is giving an example. Please, I ask the Sangha to listen. If the Sangha is ready, I should appoint these 500 monks to spend the rainy season at Rajagaha in order to recite the teaching of the monastic law. No other monk should enter the rainy season. This is the motion. And then he recites this very formally, and nobody objects. And then it becomes a valid motion, a valid decision of the Sangha. So then the monks went to Rajagaha to recite the teaching. This would have been 1 month ago at the entrance of the Dhamma Day, the entrance of the Dhamma, entrance of the Vasa season. The monks thought, the Buddha has praised repairing what's defective and broken. Well then, let's spend the first month doing repairs, and then gather for the middle month, reciting the teaching and the monastic law. This is how it goes when the monks get together for the Vasa. There are so many things to organize, so many things to get fixed up. If sometimes the kuti is broken, or it has a leak, or something is worn out, or we don't have the right kind of mats or the right kinds of seats, or the right things we need, and so we often do just exactly what's described there, to take the first month doing all the repairs and getting everything fixed up, and then at the second month of the Vasa, in an ordinary Vasa, they might enter into the retreat period or the special training period. Very often they spend it discussing the Dhamma and Vinaya in that training period. And so in this case, they spent the first month doing the repairs. Meanwhile, during this first month, Venerable Ananda thought, it wouldn't be proper for me to go to the assembly tomorrow if I'm still a trainee. After spending most of the night with mindfulness directed to the body, early in the morning, he bent over to lie down. In the interval between his feet coming off the ground and his head hitting the pillow, his mind was freed from the corruptions through letting go, and Venerable Ananda went to the assembly as an arhat. So it's not true that the monks went to Venerable Ananda with an ultimatum saying, you must get enlightened tonight because there's this recitation starting tomorrow, and you must be a fully arhat by then. That's not what it says there in the Vinaya. It says he was invited as he was, not yet a fully enlightened arhat. He was invited to participate, and it was his own motivation, it was his own conscience and ethic that made him seek to complete the work before the recitation began. And it wasn't something that just was all done in one night. It was done over that entire period of time from when he got the invitation to that first month of the Vasa, while the other monks were working. Ananda was making the effort for his enlightenment. And then on that night before, that would be last night, he obtained his full awakening. Why didn't he get awakened before? Because he had a lot of jobs to do. He worked all the time. He was attending on the Buddha, listening and memorizing all the suttas that were spoken by the Buddha. He was repeating the suttas that were spoken by the Buddha. He was giving many teachings to many young bhikkhus and to the Bhikkhuni Sangha as well. And he also was serving and attending on the entire Sangha. When the Sangha went out on an alms round, Ananda would stay behind, and he would go into their kuti or their cave, and if anything was dirty or torn, he would straighten it out. He would make their beds for them. He would do the laundry for them. He would do the mending for them. And on another occasion, the monks were going on a tudong, wandering over the countryside, walking. They walked hundreds of miles, and instead of going close to the front of the line as being a senior monk, Ananda stayed. There was some member who was there who was ill and who was not able to go quickly. Ananda stayed back with the one who was ill and served and attended on the one who was ill to help them make it, instead of taking his place close to the front of the line as being senior. So he worked and worked all the time, doing merits, but he just didn't happen to think of focusing on becoming a fully enlightened arhat until the time came that it was necessary because of this recitation. So this is what I have to say about Ananda, and I'm going to turn now to Sutta, but I will pause for a second and see whether anybody who's here has got a question or a comment or anything you'd like to say about why Ananda is or is not your favorite bhikkhu. Yeah. Khandhaka is the one who just came into the white robes as an anagarika a couple of days ago, and she's remembering how the Buddha is part of the reason why the Bhikkhunis obtained their enlightenment in any case, because he stepped forward and spoke on their behalf to the Buddha. Yeah.
I have lecture. Which Khandhaka is it? Which Khandhaka?
21. It's in the Chula Khandhaka, number 21. Okay, so now I'm going to go on and I'm going to read the Sekhasutta, the Trainee Sutta, which is especially for Kunnak. What is it? Did you get a Pali name? Hangsi, Dhamma Hangsi.
The swan.
Okay.
It's a swan.
Okay, the swan of the Dhamma. Wow, beautiful. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera so that they can see you. So please know that this is Anagarika Dhamma Hangsi, who is with our community at Dhamma Trainee for a little while. And I'm sort of devoting this sutta to her, because this is advice about how we ought to train ourselves. Okay, this is number 53 in the Middle-Length Discourses. So I heard at one time the Buddha was staying in the land of the Sakyans near Kapilavatthu in the Banyan Tree Monastery. Now at that time a new town hall had recently been constructed for the Sakyans of Kapilavatthu. It had not yet been occupied by an ascetic or Brahmin or any person at all. Then the Sakyans of Kapilavatthu went up to the Buddha, bowed, sat to one side, and said to him, "Sir, a new town hall has recently been constructed for the Sakyans of Kapilavatthu. It has not yet been occupied by any ascetic or Brahmin, any person at all, and may the Buddha be the first to use it. Only then will the Sakyans of Kapilavatthu use it. That would be for the lasting welfare and happiness of the Sakyans of Kapilavatthu." And the Buddha consented in silence. So they did all of the respectful preparations, and then said, "Please come at your convenience." The Buddha robed up, took his bowl and robe. He went to the new town hall. Having washed his feet, he entered the town hall, sat against the central column facing east, and the Sangha of mendicants also washed their feet and sat against the west wall facing east, with the Buddha right in front of them. And the Sakyans of Kapilavatthu also washed their feet, entered the town hall, sat against the east wall facing west, with the Buddha right in front of them. And he spent much of the night educating, encouraging, firing up, and inspiring the Sakyans with the Dhamma talk. Then he addressed Venerable Ananda. "Ananda, speak about the practicing trainee to the Sakyans. As you feel inspired. My back is sore. I'll stretch it." So Ananda said, "Amma Bhante," "Yes, sir." And the Buddha spread out his outer robe, folded, and lay down in the lion's posture, mindful and aware, focused on the time of getting up. And here comes Ananda's talk. He's addressing a certain bhikkhu named Mahanama, who is the most senior one, but his talk is for everybody in the room. So I'm addressing not the most senior one, but the most junior one in this space, the Anagarika Dhamma Hamsi, but this talk is for everyone. Okay, here's the summary. A noble disciple is accomplished in ethics, guards the sense doors, eats in moderation, and is dedicated to wakefulness. They have 7 good qualities. They get the 4 absorptions, the jhanas, blissful meditation in this life that belong to the higher mind when they want, without trouble or difficulty. So this is what anybody who's practicing seriously should aspire to do. How is a noble disciple accomplished in ethics? When the disciple is ethical, restrained in the monastic code, If you're not a monastic, you should be restrained according to the 5 precepts. You should very regularly, on the opposite days, take personal retreat and follow the 8 precepts, including the additional precepts of fasting, avoiding luxury and entertainment and sex. You may do this as a layperson in every half moon. That's within every 2 weeks. On the 8th day, the 14th day, and the 15th day. Those are the days to, so today's the first day, so you can mark your calendar. And if you email me, I will share with you I've put it to my Google Calendar. So if I share that calendar with you, you will automatically know all the moon days, all the days for taking your personal Uposatha retreat time. So you can take the 8, the 14, and the 15, or if you want, you can start on the 7 at night and sit up and meditate all night on the 7th, and then continue meditating on the 8th. Or if you want to be really good, you can practice on the 7, 8, 9, and then you can practice start the night of the 13, take the 13, 14, 15, and the 1st. So depending on how much time you have in your life. And also, there's something that's not said in the suttas, but I think it's good to understand. There's a lot of moral codes that arise in different societies, depending on history, like the law. And if the law is not opposite to Buddhism, you should obey the law. And if there are ethics like we have environmental ethics because of the situation, so there's a lot of strong advice given about trying to protect the environment. So you may undertake those ethics as well. So we tend to say, oh, isn't it amazing, we have 311 rules and you only have 5 rules. But actually, if you consider all the laws that everybody's subjected to, we all have got a lot of rules and regulations to keep. So we try to develop the ethic in a way that's comes from love and culminates in joy, which is internalized. Because if we understand dukkha, we don't want to add any harm, not even 1 penny of harm do we want to add to the world. So we make ourselves harmless, and our ethic arises from that. And the result of our ethic is that we have a clear conscience, and with that, the heart leaps up and we are joyful. So that's my idea about the ethics. What it says here, how to be accomplished in ethics. A noble disciple is ethical, restrained in the monastic code, conducting themselves well, resorting for alms in the suitable places, seeing danger in the slightest fault. They keep the rules they've undertaken. That's how a noble disciple is ethical. How does a noble disciple guard the sense doors? When a noble disciple sees a sight with their eyes, they don't get caught up in the features and details. If the faculty of sight was left unrestrained, bad, unskillful qualities of covetousness, covetousness means a greedy way of wanting what doesn't belong to you. And if you're a Buddhist and you know about non-self, you know that nothing belongs to you. So you don't greedily want to own, acquire, and cling onto anything at all. That's what the non-greed means in this case. And then covetousness and displeasure, that's hatred towards something that's unpleasant. So if you could read the news and covetousness and displeasure doesn't arise for you, then you may read the news. If you could read a poem or a novel or something that was fiction, and greed and covetousness doesn't arise for you, then you may do this, I mean, as lay people. But if looking at those things causes your mind to be disturbed and the unwholesome qualities to obsess the mind, you should stay away from those things. So you have to be mindful every time that you look at something, or taste something, or smell something, or hear something. What's this impact it's having on my mind? Is my mind able to remain pure, even while I'm having these sense contacts? Even thinking about different thoughts. If I think the thought, oh, that so-and-so is always doing something to me, that thought could cause anger or hatred. So then, if I'm going to say, well, here's what it is, that so-and-so always does that to me, and I feel contented, then it's okay to think that thought. It's a question how it affects the mind. Okay, so that's the sense restraint. So the same thing with the ears, the odor, the nose, the flavor with the tongue, the touch with the body, the idea in the mind. Don't get caught up in the features and details. Don't become obsessed with those objects. If the faculty of mind was left unrestrained, bad, unskillful qualities would become overwhelming. And for this reason, they practice that restraint. That's the guarding of the sense doors. That's the beginning of the training. And I know if people are honest, you will know that you've got a ways to go on this. And if that's true for you, acknowledge that. And make the effort. Do what you can. Try to get better with guarding the sense doors, so these reactions don't arise. And how does a noble disciple eat in moderation? They practice the yoni so manasikara, which is wise attention. Bhante Sujato says he reflects rationally on the food. So he reflects by rational, he means going deeply down to the root. On the food, and then, now this is the recitation that the monks always do before every meal, and we have a similar reflection that we do before using medicine, before using lodgings, and before using the robe. So each time we put on the robe, each time we take a sip of tea, as that's the medicine, each time we enter into the lodgings, we should stop and review the recitation that's given to the monks about these things. So this is just an example. For food, one reflects not for fun, indulgence, adornment, or decoration, but only to sustain this body, to avoid harm, to support spiritual practice. In this way, I put an end to old discomfort, that's the discomfort of hunger, and not give rise to new discomfort, the discomfort of overeating, and I will have the means to keep going blameless and a comfortable abiding. So that's the next point. Next point in this instruction. How is a noble disciple dedicated to wakefulness? It's when a noble disciple practices walking and sitting meditation by day, purifying the mind from obstacles. By day, what it's referring to is typically the monk gets up, they would go for the alms, so they would go in their alms round and get the alms food, and then they would come back. They would have their alms food and do the cleaning up after the meal, and then when that's complete, they would sit for meditation. So it's from after the meal for the remainder of the day. And then, so by day, they practice walking and sitting meditation, purifying the mind from obstacles. But then when the day is over, they don't stop. In the first watch of the night, that's explained from 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock at night, They continue to practice walking, sitting meditation. Then, in the middle watch of the night, they lie down in the lion's posture on the right side, placing one foot on top of the other, mindful and aware, and focused on the time of getting up. That means that they've set their inner alarm clock on the time that they're going to get up. So when you are resting, really rest. And then you can have like a power nap and get a lot of rest in just 4 hours between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. Then in the last watch of the night, that's 2 o'clock until 6 o'clock, they get up and continue to practice walking and sitting meditation, purifying their mind from obstacles. That's how a noble disciple is dedicated to wakefulness. So obviously, if somebody is ill, they might not be able to practice strenuously like this, but the Buddha did not recommend laziness. He didn't recommend lolling about. He doesn't recommend taking a nap after lunch. He just doesn't, because the monk's life in a certain way, they're not out in the farm field working to grow the crops or to practice a craft in order to earn their livelihood. They're not required to do that kind of work all day long. And so there's a danger, a possibility that a monk could be lazy. Even at some monasteries, they think that if they give the monk that much time, the afternoon, the evening, and the early morning, if they give them all of that time for meditation, the monks will get into trouble because they will be idle and they'll become lazy and they will not be focused on practicing meditation. Instead, they will be wasting the time. And so at some monasteries, they give the monks lots and lots of chores to do. And then they have lots of classes and lots of discussions and lots of lectures and lots of different things like that to keep them busy from morning until night. I even heard that, in some monasteries, everything is like really regimented. They're doing things like together, and just the brushing the teeth, the sweeping, all of the activities, the studying in the class, the doing the chores, and all of these things are done in a very high energy way. And then for the formal meditation, they only get, I've never been to this monastery, but I heard it's done at some places, they only get 30 minutes for meditation. And so then, in that case, you've got to meditate really fast. But what the Buddha recommends is definitely don't be lazy, be wakeful, and put more effort into meditation than what you thought you needed. Don't just be satisfied with 1 hour or 2 hours of meditation. Whenever you've got a minute, or whenever you've got 20 minutes free from your responsibilities, use those minutes for meditation. It's like if you were an ordinary lay person, when you had 10 minutes, what would you do? Pull out your phone, scroll through the phone, check your email. So every time, instead of checking your email, practice meditation. Okay, Nyada.
Say something.
I'll let you, since you're nearby, I'll let you speak to the mic so others can hear you.
Thank you, Veronica. Thank you. From my experience that I've been in Tibet, I came from Erotaram. Of course, with Sangha, we have activity to be help Sangha, gone through whatever they're supposed to be done. Like last night, we have some ceremony, 20-year anniversary. So we have to be here, no matter how late, we have to be. And now we have the routine of practice. So we set our own schedule. Like, we wake up, I wake up to do meditation before go to the morning chant.
Mhm.
That's what at Nirotharam. But then when the time to like special occasion come along, it's more like it's obstruction, make your body tired, cannot do the next day 3 o'clock meditation. Sometimes not even can do the chanting, morning chanting. So this thing is happen, but and it's not happen just one. So it seems to be many times. So I just kind of like make my understand and try to tell myself, okay, the time I have to keep up for Sangha. And then when the time come back, the routine come back, which is mean the day free time, continue 2-3 day connecting. So I can get back to the wake up with my complete helpful physical, not too tired. Because if you're tired, you cannot do meditation, You just want to go sleep only, So we have to understand our body also that it needs some rest. But when something is come to be obstruction, we just can make our heart to let go and get back to what your own practice later on. But just like you say, you have to keep go on practice, do more meditation, because Buddha want us to be strong in the practice. We train our mind to be clearly and strongly to receive his teaching.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
So sometimes we have to kind of like let go our own schedule. Don't have that to be frustrated and get upset or frustrated.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't recommend being frustrated and aggravated about the opportunities for service, the opportunities for generosity, but I do strongly recommend just to be aware of how much time is wasted during the day in some kind of procrastination or feeling, oh, I just finished, I had to wash the dishes and now I'm just gonna, try to be aware of that and see if it's possible to give more energy. Now, I want to go ahead with this sutta and then I'll come for questions later. Now they talk of Bhikkhu Ananda speaks about 7 good qualities. One, having faith in the realized one's awakening, that Buddha is the perfect, fully awakened Buddha, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, holy, knower of the world, supreme guide for those who wish to be trained. So they should have that quality, confidence in the Buddha. They have a conscience. This is called hiri. The conscience is the internalized understanding of morality and ethics, so that one is able to easily and naturally stay in line with the ethics, not be swayed or just go along with the crowd or go along with what's convenient, because they would remember their own morals, their morality, their own ethics. One sutta that I love very much is the one where, in a way, it seems a little separatist, but a bhikkhu would think, other people may kill, but I do not kill. Other people may tell lies, but I do not tell lies. And so on like that. So the conscience is almost like a kind of like a self-respect, to know, I've taken this voluntarily, I took these precepts for myself, and I'm going to keep these precepts. That's the conscience. Then they exercise prudence. They're prudent when it comes to bad conduct by way of body, speech, or mind. Prudent when it comes to acquiring any bad, unskillful qualities. And the prudence has to do with looking ahead, being realistic, and thinking what the consequences will be. So even if, I didn't technically tell a lie, or I didn't technically commit a musawada or some kind of wrong speech, if I say something and it's going to cause people to become upset and lose faith in Buddhism, I'd think about those consequences, and I'd be prudent when it comes to what I speak and how I speak about it, doing it in such a way that it will have a good result. So this is like being a good driver, knowing how to steer the car, so you stay away from the potholes and you don't take a wrong turn or don't fall in the ditch, but keep it going on the road, because you got that skill in guiding and directing your morals by your behavior, by anticipating what the effect is going to be on your own heart and mind. Or even, okay, I'll give another example. I could go on Amazon and look for something that is important to look up, and it might be technically it's okay. It's not exactly entertainment to look on Amazon for something, but if I know myself, I could say, this is going to be a disturbance to me to look at this, and I don't want to be disturbed, so I could decide not to do that. So that's like prudence, thinking what's the effect going to be, and is the effect helping or harming? Okay, so then now here's another quality, that this is what you want to have especially as a bhikkhu, or if you're going to be a public Buddhist and let others know that you're a Buddhist, you should get this quality. They're very learned, remembering and keeping what they learned. These teachings are good in the beginning, good in the middle, good in the end, meaningful, well phrased, describing a spiritual practice that's entirely full and pure. They are very learned in such teachings, remembering them, rehearsing them, mentally scrutinizing them, and comprehending them theoretically. So this is your sutta study. I know you're here, so because you want to be learned. And this is a good quality that was praised by the Buddha. They live with energy, roused up, for giving up unskillful qualities and embracing skillful qualities. This is the right effort, the samavayama in the Eightfold Path, being able to recognize the qualities of the mind, which ones are beneficial, which ones are harmful, and giving up the harmful ones. So, but when doing it, and this one is saying they want to be strong, staunchly vigorous, not slacking off when it comes to developing those skillful qualities. Then they're mindful. Now, it just doesn't mean, like Ajahn Brahm says, this is wrong mindfulness. When somebody is robbing the house, and he says, oh, the robber is coming in, oh, the silverware is going out. So it's not just non-judgmental watching things going. No, this is a more like energetic mindfulness. They have utmost mindfulness and alertness, and can remember and recall what was said and done long ago. So if you happen to put on shoes or socks this morning, did you put on the left foot first or the right foot first? Can you remember? If you had to cook lunch and prepare the menu for lunch, what did you prepare for lunch last Sunday? So if you can remember, if whatever you're doing do it clearly, so you know what you're doing, and that way later you'll be able to remember it. So that's like an aspect of mindfulness, is to do things with the mind which is awake and which is noticing what's going on, not just being on automatic in a brain fog or almost in a blackout because you're preoccupied with something else and you're just doing things, and you got up in the morning and then next thing you know you're at the office working, and you missed the whole morning because you're doing it automatically. And then it's the wise. Okay, so this wisdom is the wisdom of arising and passing away, which is noble, penetrative, and leads to the complete ending of suffering. Noticing the impermanence, the arising and passing away of phenomenon, and noticing the arising of dukkha, the cause of dukkha, the cessation of dukkha, and the way leading to the cessation of dukkha. That's included in that. So this is the wisdom. Now, having done all of those things and having those 7 good qualities, now they speak about the 4 jhanas, the blissful meditations in this life. They belong to the higher mind. They get that when they want, without trouble or difficulty. And it gives this standard description of the 4 jhanas, the 4 absorptions. But what I want to kind of emphasize here is this aspect of striving and pushing and working and making yourself buck up and sit up straight and use more energy, try harder. So after you've done all that effort at trying hard, then you need to stop and relax and be still and know that, like, the mind has gained a lot of strength from all of this wholesome effort you've been doing. But then when you go to rest, you don't get into the jhana by huffing and puffing and rushing and trying and focusing and being trying to get it. Instead, the jhana arises from the peace and happiness, and also having the mind which is naturally become capable of dispelling the negative states. Because of all the effort you've done, the mind knows how to dispel negative states, and maybe sometimes you have to really work on it. Someone came this morning and she was sad because of the behavior. Her father's behavior was, the father was angry a lot, and so she's sad and worried, and in situations in life, the mind can be disturbed and troubled and worried. And that's not a situation that supports getting into jhana. But if you make a lot of effort to learn how to be calm in the face of all the difficulties of life, to learn how to be kind and peaceful, both peaceful and kind and compassionate and equanimous with all of the difficulties in life, and you've kind of struggled with it. You admit your failures, admit your weaknesses, and try to overcome them. But then when it comes to meditation, you've gone to a peaceful place, to the foot of a tree or something, and a place that doesn't have disturbances, and you set aside those worries, and your mind knows how to let go of worry, to let go of emotions, and to be peaceful. And then that's how the jhana is able to come naturally. So you made all that effort to prepare yourself and to become an exemplary monk, but then you relaxed and allowed nature to take its course, and the happiness coming from your practice matures into the seclusion from the hindrances and the joyful states of the jhanas. So it's summarized here. A disciple is secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unskillful qualities, and they enter and remain in the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. That's how they get the 4 jhanas. that belong to the higher mind whenever they want, without trouble or difficulty. So, now comes the metaphor, the summary and the metaphor. He is accomplished in ethics, guard the sense doors, eat in moderation, dedicated to wakefulness, has 7 good qualities, get the 4 jhanas. They are called a noble disciple who is a practicing trainee. Their eggs are unspoiled. They are capable of breaking out of their shell, becoming awakened, and achieving the supreme sanctuary from the yolk. This is yolk, the yolk of the egg. No, the yolk, this is the yolk of the fetters, which are keeping you tied down. I think it's an unintentional turn between the egg, breaking out of the egg and having egg yolk. This is the yoga yolk, the fetters. Suppose there was a chicken with 8 or 10 or 12 eggs. She properly sat on them to keep them warm and incubated. Even if that chicken doesn't wish, oh, if only my chicks could break out of the eggshell with their claws and beaks and hatch safely, still the chicks will break out and hatch safely. That's because the chicken is doing her job. So that's what he wants. He wants the trainee, do your job. In the same way, when a noble disciple is practicing all these things, they're called a noble disciple who's a practicing trainee. Their eggs are not spoiled. They're capable of breaking out of the shell, becoming awakened, achieving the supreme sanctuary from the yolk. The realization that's predicted, relying on this, a disciple can recollect many kinds of past lives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20, 30, 40, 100, 1,000, 100,000 rebirths, many eons of the world contracting. They can recommend many kinds of past lives with features and details. That's their first breaking out, like a chick from an eggshell. Or they may, with clairvoyance that's purified and superhuman, see sentient beings passing away and being reborn, inferior and superior, beautiful, ugly, good place or bad place, understanding how sentient beings are reborn according to their deeds. That's the second breaking out, like a chick from an eggshell. These are features of the Arsama Sambuddha's awakening. He experienced these. Some, but not all, of the noble Arahant disciples experienced these kinds of knowledges. So it's possible to be a fully enlightened Arahant even if you didn't have this ability to see the past lives or to see the rebirth process directly. Then this next one is essential. Relying on this purity, the disciple realizes the undefiled freedom of heart, freedom by wisdom. Chaito vimutti, panya vimutti. In this very life. That's a saying that means nibbana. They live having realized it with their own insight. The ending of the defilements. That's the third breaking out, like a chick from an eggshell. And then it summarizes again what the conduct was as a trainee. And then it summarizes the knowledges, recalling past lives, superhuman clairvoyance, and, most important, realizing the undefiled freedom of the heart, freedom by wisdoms, due to the ending of the defilements. That noble disciple is said to be accomplished in knowledge, accomplished in conduct, accomplished in both knowledge and conduct. And then the Brahma, Sanam Kumara, who spoke this verse, The aristocrat is the best among people who take clan as the standard, but one who is accomplished in knowledge and conduct is the best among gods and humans. That verse was well sung by the Brahma Sanam Kumara, not poorly sung, well spoken. Then the Buddha, he's been taking a rest, but he's been listening to the sutta. Then he got up and said to Venerable Ananda, Good, Ananda. It's good that you spoke to the Sakyans of Kapilavatthu about the practicing trainee. So we'll stop this share. And I will ask you to think, what would you do if the Sama Sambuddha asked you to give the Dhamma talk and he's right there listening to your talk? Would you have the courage? And I'm inviting any and all questions and comments about this. Okay. There are many different ways to find a sutta to read. You can just take a book and read one of the 4 books or one of the smaller books and read it through from front to back. Or you can subscribe to a service like Reading Faithfully that gives you a short sutta reading every morning. Or you can be looking up some theme that you're interested in. If you suppose you're interested in metta, then you can Google metta, or you can go to the Discourses Sutta Central and look up that topic and see what other people have been discussing about the subject you're interested in. But whatever you do, I strongly recommend that you keep a notebook for yourself about the sutta reading that you've done, and not typing, but with a pencil or a pen, write down in your own words a summary of the significance of the sutta or the paragraph you're reading. It's putting it in your own words is a huge part of learning. So when you read something, immediately that same day, within 24 hours, write it down in your own words. And then if you want to later on, you can compile it into your book or your notebook or something like that. And then the other suggestion that I have is just keep a journal. If you're reading about Buddhism, reading about spiritual topics or the Dhammas, there will be many times that you'll come across some idea that you're interested in pursuing, but sometimes the ideas come faster than you don't have enough time in the day to study all of them. So keep something in your diary about the ideas that you came across, that you would like to learn more about this idea. And then later, when you've got a break and you have some time and you don't have anything in particular in mind, and maybe you could just watch some funny cat videos or take a nap or something like that, you can look at your diary and say, there were these different ideas that I wanted to study and find out more about them. And so that way you can motivate yourself to use the time wisely. But definitely keeping a diary or a journal or a compendium of the Dhamma in your own words that you've learned is very important for learning. I don't expect you necessarily to be able to recite suttas from memory, and to, when somebody asks you a question, and say, oh, that's in the Samyutta Nikaya 46.53, and then be able to quote exactly that verse. You don't have to do that to have a good knowledge of learning the suttas. But the other day, I had the privilege of visiting Bhikkhu Bodhi, and the young bhikkhu who's so intelligent and so dedicated to learning was with me, and one of the questions he asked Bhikkhu Bodhi was, he said, well, there was a certain verse in the Sutta Nipata that he couldn't understand the grammar, and the explanation that's given in the commentary doesn't seem right to him. And then, from memory, he wrote down the 2 lines of the verse and showed it to Bhikkhu Bodhi and said, like, where was the trouble? And Bhikkhu Bodhi said, yes, I saw the same problem, and I also don't agree with the commentary. I think it's this way. and so it's, if you've got a mind like that, then you may use it. But if you don't, just keep a Dhamma diary and take notes and put things in your own word for the sake of learning and remembering. Okay, I'll call on Andrew.
Sadhu, sadhu. Yeah. So clearly the bar that's being set by Ananda in this sutta is extremely high. Like he's asking us to set our sights really, really high. And for me, this is very inspiring overall. But there's like 1 or 2 or 5% of me that has this, maybe it's just self-doubt or something along those lines. But my question is essentially like, you know, if one were to really embody these practices and these values in daily lay life, it would almost be like being an alien amongst the rest of the world. And I almost have this idea that, like, for you all who are in robes, then you sort of give yourself a reason to be this alien. But I'm still, I guess there's some sense of like imposter syndrome for me. In moments where I'm internally embodying a kind of wholesomeness, but it's just so clearly against the grain of what's going on around me. So I'm wondering if you have any encouragement, any encouraging words, or maybe adjustments in my view to come to a more clear perspective.
Thank you. I guess I would just say, first of all, when we fall short, don't lose hope, because there are many ways to reach the goal. There's another story in the sutta of a monk who was not able to memorize anything, and I think his brother was also a monk who was intelligent, and was sort of scolding him for not memorizing, and he thought he would need to disrobe because he couldn't memorize. And the Buddha gave him a clean cloth and advised him to go and rub the cloth. And that was his instruction. And that bhikkhu saw the cloth becoming dirty as he rubbed it, and then with that insight gained his awakening. So even though the Buddha advises generosity, there's many ways to reach the goal depending on one's abilities. Then the other thing I would say is, it sort of depends where you're coming from. When I was a young person, I drank regularly, and I couldn't visualize how one would be able to do anything without drinking, because the crowd I was with, we always organized, we would only go to places where liquor was served. and so we didn't know that, I didn't know that there was such a thing as a sober life. But then, when I became sober, I said, oh, yeah, there's a lot of people out here that are sober. And it's a very nice lifestyle. It's very pleasant, very enjoyable. And you could find it even with whatever group that you're with. If you're You don't need to proselytize or pick philosophy fights with anybody. Instead, simply to embody these qualities, and you, I would wager that, I wouldn't wager, but it might make you even more so lovable, that people would like to be around you, because these qualities, it's not done like I'm um, uh, some kind of a officer who's always beating the whip and saying do this, like what they call a martinet. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be a very, when you do your own, like, sort of struggling to raise your standard. So, but then it's a very relaxed, gentle, lovely, intuitive way of being, and it can be very likable wherever you are.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll call on Richard.
Thank you, Ayya. First, in terms of trying to memorize the suttas, or I would say more like familiarize yourself with them, I discovered recently, after many, many years of studying intently the suttas, that there's this type of system like Audible, and you can get Bhikkhu Bodhi's Majjhima Nikaya and Samyutta Nikaya in audible form, and you can just, listen to it from your phone, or some other computer source or something like that. And it's quite an interesting thing to do, to just put it on and just let it keep playing, and they just keep reading very nicely, plus his introductions and everything, one sutta after another. So you can also get Bhikkhu Sujato's versions of the Anguttara Nikaya and the Digha Nikaya. I don't know why they divide it that way. Two from Bhikkhu Bodhi and two from Ajahn Sujato, because they have a slight different style for a few main terms of translation. But I haven't got those yet, because when I signed up for it, you get one free book per month for the first 3 months. So I'm kind of just getting my suttas one at a time. So I'm on my second book now. But anyway, it's really an interesting thing. And I think if someone was truly interested in getting a true familiarity, at least with the 4 Nikayas, that would be an excellent way to go about it. The other thing, this sutta here, as far as feeling like it's, I don't know, a very high aspiration or something, keep in mind that Ananda is saying over and over again, the noble disciple, the noble disciple, the noble disciple. And if you familiarize yourself with the sutras, you'll see that there are other sutras where this is not stressed, and they're talking about starting at a more simpler level, like the first level, the loving friend, who is looks upon the Sangha and the Bhikkhus and the Buddha and the teachings with loving friendship, and tries to help, tries to be supportive, and like that. And then if you gain more confidence, you become the confidence loving friend. And the confidence loving friend takes on the precepts, 5 or more, because they want to be the friend of everyone. That's my interpretation of it. You don't want to do anything unkind or negative or whatever to anyone as much as possible. And then the Dharma follower tries to really get in with the foundation of the first 2. He tries to really get in, or she tries to really get in. They try to really get in to a deep dive, a thorough penetration of the suttas, and that will lead to stream, or I prefer to say hearing entry. So that's very helpful to understand that. So now, however, there is a sutta that I was studying just recently because of going through these audibles, the Yamaka Sutta in the Samyutta Nikaya. In that sutta, I won't get into the details, but a bhikkhu comes up with a wrong viewpoint. And so Sariputta is asked to go and speak to him about it. And in that one sutta, that bhikkhu, he was a bhikkhu, attains sotapan, hearing or stream entry, and then by the end, he becomes an arahant in just one short, I don't know how long it would take to have that discussion, 15 or 20 minutes. So don't think that it's like some impossible, torturous thing. It just depends on your mind, where you're at. You got to start where you're at, and then, you know, develop yourself and start moving forward. One other small point is that when they're talking about sleeping, how the bhikkhu sleeps in the second watch of the night, what it means is you should sleep over that time, at least that 4-hour period. It's average 4 hours. The way they didn't have clocks like we do today. They didn't have, you know, clear 12 noon or 12 midnight or anything like that. It was basically a theory of time. You could go to sleep earlier than that, but you should try to sleep over that period and then get up at the end of the watch. Well, the end of the watch is 2 o'clock in the morning. So about 10 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock. Well, 2 o'clock's a little early too, right? So you can go into the third watch of the night. You should get up sometime during the third watch of the night. Now, it's the idea, it says you should lay down on your side in the lion's pose. You're not supposed to sleep that way all night. That's not what you're doing. You're setting your mindfulness by always laying down in the same way and focusing, okay? I will wake up at this time, okay? So it's like a habit. You're developing a habit of body and mind. Now, through the night, you may switch position, whatever, while you're asleep. It doesn't matter. But what you want to do is you want to get that habit going. Okay, I'm going to have this habit, and I'm going to lay down in this exact way, and I'm going to focus my mind. I'll maintain my mindfulness, and I'll wake up at this time. And when I was a Hindu monk, I used to go to bed between 10 and 11. And without a clock or anything, I would spontaneously wake up every morning at 3 o'clock in the morning. And actually, it became my responsibility in the monastery to wake up the other monastics at 4. They would get up at 4. So because I would wake up every day spontaneously at 3, and I did this for years. I don't know how it developed, but it just spontaneously developed for me. And so it is possible to do that, to like set your mind like that, and then just, you know, wake up, you know, at a certain time, but don't undersleep. If you do a tremendous amount of meditation during the day in an untorturous way, just in a focused, calm, peaceful, trying to follow, you know, the Buddha's instruction of following the breath or whatever it is, but don't torture yourself in anything, because that's exhausting. If you're actually able to enter into the jhanas, especially once you get the second jhana, that's actually kind of like almost as far as the body is concerned, it's like a sleep state, because your mind kind of goes to rest. So that's one of the reasons why advanced bhikkhu don't need as much sleep at night, because actually they're doing so much of this peaceful, calm meditation all day, and that's very calming and refreshing, you know, to be in those states. So just consider that. So you have to kind of, in some of these things, you have to have a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more reading between the lines. There's no torture. No one's trying to torture anybody. You're not supposed to be, you know, doing too much. Anyways, thank you very much for listening. I hope I didn't speak too long.
Richard, what's that app called?
Oh, Audible it's an Amazon app, and I think Apple has a type. I don't know what it is on Apple, but a friend of mine has an Apple phone. I was telling him about Audible, and he says, "Oh, they have the same thing on Apple," and he was going to get it because he's also a Buddhist and he wanted to get the suttas and listen to them like that. So I'm not 100% sure, but based on what he said, I believe there is some app if you have an Apple phone as well. I just happen to have an Android. Because that's what I started with at work, and I worked for many years with Android. So when I retired, I just kept using Android. But I think Apples are probably superior. That's what you hear. So they're tasty too.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
We've come up to the end of our time, but if there's anybody who wanted to say something and just didn't put their hand up before, last call for any comments or a blessing that somebody wants to give. And we can close by giving respect to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Araham Samma Sambuddha Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhamman Namasami Subhatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami